So, like I do with everything that I buy, first step is find the instructions, fuck them off. Good morning, YouTube and the internets. Today, we're going to be putting together a shop press. Should be a pretty quick, simple process. I bought the shop press because the Falcon needs new wheel bearings on the rear. And pretty much have to have a shop press to get the bearings off. Either that or you got to cut them off. And yeah, I feel like I'd rather own the press. After I did the Mazda CX-7 wheel bearings, I wish I owned a press at that point, because that took me several hours to beat those bearings out. Oh, I did it again. Where it would have taken me a few minutes with the press. So I had decided at that time, if I'm ever doing another set of bearings, I'll get a press. I was going to get the super cheap type one. They're like 160, 170 bucks. Whereas this one was like 200, but it's 1.8 meters tall. And that height is important on the Falcon because it's a solid rear axle. So the axle stub is like over a meter long, which means I've got to get the shaft inside the press assembly effectively to be able to press it off. Now I bought the bearings, they haven't turned up yet. I know they've been dispatched. I got the bearing splitter that you need for that job, and I got the press. So while I'm waiting for the bearings, I'm just going to slap this press together. I figure slamming it right here would be the best way rather than over here, so I can maintain this floor storage, this shelving thing here, which I don't really utilise, but I might want to in my random gasket hanging area. So I figure I could just move the spare race seat and put it right here. And if I've got to remove that thing, then so be it. Take these shelves down if I have to, if it doesn't clear underneath. But I'm 1.82 meters tall, and I fit under it. Just depends if handles and the frame assembly and that goes over the top of it or not. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do now. So let's get this out of the box. So once you've fucked off the instructions, unpack your box. You see we've got the cross member, 2 heavy steel plates, maybe base plates for the legs, not sure. Cross member for it to sit on, a bit of bracing, the bit you press against, anvil, it's going to be the wrong word, the legs. Over here is the bottle jack and some hardware. That looks flimsy, it's probably the handle. So now I'm going to go get those instructions back because I've got no fucking idea what I'm doing. Alright, that's the easiest and simplest instructions I've ever seen in my life. Disappointed they're not in Chinese. That would have made it way more interesting. But yeah, let's make it look like that. Now if I was really clever, I'd assemble it incorrectly, put it up and show you, but you know, for comedic effect, like all wrong. But I have neither the time nor the clever editing skills to do that really well, so I'm actually just going to put it together right. Well, I hope. Alrighty, we're going to be working down at ground level because it's easier than doing it on the bench and picking the friggin' heavy thing up. Let's see. Base. They go like that. Alright, get the bolts. They go like that. Hoping in the wisdom they made all the bolts the same. There's 2 different ones, but they're very different. So fucking hole is smaller than the bolt. Wait, hang on. There's some thinner ones here. I'm going to assume 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 3 different sizes. There's that one. That has to go there. They seem awfully long for just that. Maybe they also go through the leg because the leg goes against that. Where's the destructions? Leg goes on the outside. So we can do it standing up in that case. I'm sure you can see a lot of what I'm doing here. Oh, so I got this from Trade Tools if you're wondering. If you need one that's similar. This was the last one in stock apparently. But I don't believe that for a second. I'll just tell you that so you buy it. But I'd already decided I was getting it. Okay, finger tight. That should stay upright. Okay, so that piece over there you can't see. 1.8 metres tall, you say? So there. Pins have no holes. For a split pin or anything, but basically that. It's on there, that's what you press against. Don't fall off. Maybe it's 1200 tall. Doesn't matter where I put these, they're going to end up on the floor. Because I'll bump it. And you can't see what I'm doing anyway. Let's get that one in. The bends in the metal are a bit spready openy. Tolerances are not too fine, but they'll pull in on the bolt, no worries. I guess it must have been 1200, not 1800. Otherwise, I'm 2.5 meters tall. Just a key thing when you're putting something like this together, don't tighten anything up until the very end. If you tighten up something now and you've got other bolts to do up later, you're going to remove your ability to move stuff around to get things to align. That's why I've only done everything up sort of finger tight, because then I can maneuver stuff to make it line up with holes, etc. I've only got 2 tiny little bolts left, a couple of springs. So these are the anvil plates. They just sit there for you to press against. That's your actually with the press it's a die. So that's the die, and that's the, oh I can't remember what it's called. I forget the right terminology. I did learn it. Part of the trade. There's a boilermaker, but I've forgotten the name. Couple of springs, couple of pins. That's going to need to go the other way, isn't it? I think there's no washers on this. And it's going to actually be under a lot of load when pressing, it's pulling against the spring. I might grab my spare bits and bobs and find a washer to fit those. I'm surprised they didn't go the effort of drilling a hole in here instead of just sitting on that. If that went right through it, it would add stability to it, and it would cost them nothing manufacturing wise, like literally a couple of cents to program that machine. Lovely. This piece is not shown on the diagram, but I'm going to take a punt So it goes there for the jack to sit on. Let me check the jack. It's on it. Make sure it's facing the right way. Yep. This is just off the centre because when the bolt's there, yeah. Interesting. So you can see here where the bottle jack engages up there so it doesn't slip to the side, and you see the bottle jack there lined up with it, and there's the hole on the plate that I keep moving, which is off-centered. So if I put the bottle jack where it clears the hole, roughly about there, it doesn't line up with that. I wonder if I turn that around 180 degrees it'll line up. I doubt it. What if I turn the bottle jack around it will, but then the handle's going to be facing the other way. So I just turn the whole thing around then. Yep, that's it. So I can only go one way. Oh wait, is that lined up? No. That's still not lined up. Well, that piece isn't on the assembly instructions, so let's do that. Take that off. Lovely. There's no holes directly in the base plate either to bolt it onto it. Valve open. Cool. And this is screw adjustable, so I can wind it right up, which gives me the full stroke of the jack. And that's it, one very loosely assembled shop press. Holes to bolt it down to the floor. Smaller than I was expecting. It'll do the job, 12 tonne. It'll get the bearings that I'm talking about out, but a couple of flaws in the design. Like I said, it should be a hole drilled through there for the pin to go through. Is a much better design, but then again I suppose you've got all this area here on that pin, whereas if you drill through there you'd only have that point, you'd have a shear load, so maybe they've got that right, but definitely with the plate it's supposed to go under there but can't go under there. There are some recesses underneath that jack. I wonder if they've actually done that to clear the head of that bolt. Let's have a look. I doubt it. Tiny little bolts. Let's see if it'll clear underneath there. You know what? It will. It is in the right place. On the other side, so if we go that way, like I said, turn the whole thing around, sort of right on the edge of the jack as opposed to under those recesses. In fact, it's pretty much in line with that rib, so no is the answer to that. The idea of the plate is to stop it from slipping forward or back under load, and you know, the whole jack going that way or that way. I don't think it will, but perhaps I can drill a couple of holes in the right spot for the jack. Which, if you're buying one to do this job, I wouldn't recommend. You probably should take it back and ask them to get you one that goes together. But for me, it's not that big a problem. If that goes like that, you can see how far out it is. That's the hole in the steel. That's the hole in that. They seem to be the same distance from there to there. You know, like the centre line drilled. The other one's under there. But I will just triple check I haven't got something turned around the wrong way, but I'm pretty sure it's a faulty design as opposed to a faulty assembly for once. I was wrong. These are in fact drilled off centre. So I just turned this around that way 180 degrees and voila. She's a bit wobbly because nothing's tight, but that is effectively it done. Just got to tighten all the bolts up. God damn it, I thought that was a 14 or a 15. Not catch me out again. Love these things. Oops. Now these bolts are facing out for a very good reason. They would look better facing in, but I can't give a rattle gun in there. It's going to be 19, I think. But let's make sure. Do the opposite ones up to try and take the twist out. Twisting more and more the tighter I do it. It was fine, so I just start the other side. Now it's wobbly. So what I'll do is I'll relieve the bottom ones and do them back up. I thought doing the bottom ones up would lock it into place, so I wouldn't do that. I was wrong. So I did what I said I was going to do. I released the bottom bolts and then retightened it. That basically flattened it out. Still has a twist in it. That way. And that's due entirely because of the pressing on these. Well, I would say it's actually the welding, so it's distorted with the heat, uneven on either side, and that's put stresses into this, which has taken them away from where they would have been punched out. But it's not going anywhere, and it works. So I have a functioning, if I do the thing up, which I undid to squeeze it in there, functioning shop press. Let's see if these springs pull it up at all. I did tighten these down so as to put more force on it without going so low. Let's see how far up that comes. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'll do these right down. Yeah, and get that as high up as possible, because the distance I need is from there to the ground effectively to clear the shaft for the pressing I need to do. So that's it. She's all together. I'll bottom these out to bring that up as high as I can. Just got to force the springs away to get it in, but that's fine. It can stay there. Yeah, nothing but the finest Chinese manufacturing, I imagine. But we'll do the job, and we'll do wheel bearings and stuff like that pretty easily now, I hope. I will probably slam some grease on those faces and that'll be about it. It's going to make it all dirty, but that's going to slide up and down there. It's just going to bind on the paint and scrape it off anyway, so at least the grease will oil effectively what's going to end up being bare metal at some point in the not too distant future. So happy days. Hope you enjoyed. Probably not, but simple job, easy job. And while I wait for the bearings to turn up, something I can film real quick and easy and get up on the YouTube, because it's been about a month since I published the last video, so I figured it was about time. Do a proof of life. I'm not dead. I'm just unemployed. That's all. So I should have a lot more done. I kind of have got a lot more done. I've got a new fence. I've filled in all the holes. They're going to snap the anchor on my yard. I've cleared all this out. All the shop press stuff is done now, so you can click off if you like. This won't start now. I don't know why. I just tried to start it to move it out of the way this morning. Found a slope here. This is where the trailer's going to go instead of there. After I do the wheel bearings, I've got a mate with a little bobcat, so I'm just going to get it in here, clear this out, make sure it drains away from the shed and down into the neighbour's yard there. Should be sweet. But yeah, I've been busy doing other stuff as opposed to car stuff, because, well, money. I've got money, but if I spend it all on the race cars, then I won't have the money. But when I'm working, I've got the money in no time. It's always that balance. But you know, I spent a little bit of bucks on that tool. I could go racing, but I just don't want to overcommit too much. If Jack Nats is rescheduled in the near future, I will go. Regardless, I do whatever I have to do. Oh, that's upside down, and I tactically did this upside down just to piss everyone off, because that's how I roll. Alright, peace out. See you. The bearing should turn up like tomorrow, so hopefully it does, and I can actually do that, film it, edit it, and have it up by the weekend. And remember what it's called. It's a punch and die. Punch and die. All those years of trade work paid off.